10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
All right, hello everybody, and thank you for joining me. This is Michael Voss, the Dragon of the Southern Tier. I'm happy to be here with you all. I hope everyone's having a great Sunday, September 22nd. I'm happy to be here with you all because you are the best audience ever. And I enjoy spending time with each and every one of you. I'm taking a few moments before I go off to work because I think this is an important issue and I want to talk to you about it. And as the title card said, this is about American ISIS fighters and their hopes, their attempts to come back to the United States, which is an issue that we really need to address in this nation. And I've talked about it once before. You may have noticed when I was talking about it back in February of 2019. To be exact, it was February 21st. And you can see it on YouTube. It's under the No Soundbites Allowed. Who is Hoda Muthana and why she may be the next liberal promotion? And you may hear about this a little bit, but just to refresh your memory a little bit, that's Hoda Muthana. And in the lower corner, you'll see that's, I believe, her husband, or was her husband until he got killed. And if you notice, he's carrying an AK-47 in that picture. For those who are listening to this just on the radio, you'll be able to look this up for yourself. But that's because she was a member of ISIS, and her husband was a member of ISIS from Australia. And they joined ISIS to go and kill Americans. So I'm going to leave it right there, and you can go and look it up. And obviously that was a little bit earlier in the year when we had a different background and different setup for the system. And of course, I wanted to do this all live, but we're having problems with the stream and getting a solid feed, so I'm doing this taped. And I do want to hear your comments. I do want to hear your feedback on this because it's a very important issue. But when we were talking back in February about this, one of the big things was that Hoda Muthana, back in about 2015, left the United States. She gave up her citizenship. Now, there's a big question about whether or not she actually is a natural-born U.S. citizen. But she gave up her citizenship to go off and fight ISIS. Join ISIS to fight America and other forces in there and to support ISIS. And it's known ISIS is a terrorist organization. She knew that. She was going there to try and promote global terrorism. There is no two ways about that. That's what she was there for. And she did that for many years until she got caught. And once she got caught, then she said, hey, I'm an American citizen, send me back to America. Because she didn't like the treatment she was receiving in the Syrian prisons for being an international terrorist. Okay, fine. And there's a big argument and it's still in the courts, and many people are wondering, hey, we shouldn't have her back. That is the general consensus, and President Trump, Mike Pompeo have already said that no, she's gave up her American citizenship. She's not an American citizen. She got caught with ISIS. She needs to serve time in Syria, just like any other ISIS prisoner, any other global terrorist. But many liberals are very upset because she's a mom and they want, how can we do this to a mom? She's an American citizen, questionably, and so you got to take her back. We got to take her back. I don't think we should. And I made the case in February about that. So why do I bring that all up? Well, let's go back in time a little bit. Also in 2015, from the area of Minneapolis, there was a naturalized citizen. And this is, you can see this in the report from the Washington Times. This was in 2017 that they were reporting about a gentleman. His name is Abdelhamid Madioum, who at the time was 18 in 2015. He's a naturalized U.S. citizen, and he went off. His family went over to Morocco to visit members of their family. And while in Morocco, he jumped on a plane, went to Turkey, and then crossed the border and joined ISIS. So that's what we know for sure. Those are the facts that we know for sure about Abdelhamid Madioum. And if I'm pronouncing his name wrong, sorry, it's not my first language. Now, why is he important? Because in 2015, we know he left. We know that in 2017, the FBI, the U.S. government, were isolating him along with another 8 members of Minnesota in Minneapolis that had tried to or had joined ISIS and were looking to be members of global terrorism and to take down the United States government. These are facts. That's not in question. And in 2017, the U.S. government had heard. We knew that he was still alive in 2017. He was 20 at the time. And we were trying to say, hey, what are we going to do about this guy? And whether or not, if we could find him, if he was still alive, that he was going to be punished. He would go to jail. These are the facts. Well, just a couple of days ago, literally on the 17th of September, CBS News was in Syria checking out the prisons there, and that's when they determined that there was this kid, this American, sitting inside a Syrian prison. And the article from CBS News says, American inside Syrian prison says he was recruited to ISIS online. And in that story from northern Syria, the CBS News was going through the prisons and they ran across this kid, Abdelhamid Madioum, who is saying, hey, I'm an American citizen and ISIS lied to me and I joined them and now I've been in prison and I want to come back home. And I have to say again, why? Why should we take them back? Now, he's a naturalized citizen as opposed to a U.S.-born citizen. But there's a bigger question here. There's a bigger issue here with this kid. And I want that's Hoda Muthana, who's the one who was previously there. And the United States said no. And she was a natural-born citizen, but she rescinded her citizenship. And what we see with this kid, Abdelhamid Madioum, is that he never gave up his citizenship, but he just disappeared. And we know that he actually joined ISIS. And we know that he called his family after joining ISIS and said, hey, I'm going to be a doctor for ISIS because ISIS isn't that bad. They sent me videos. They told me that they're not bad people and it's okay. And I'm going to be a doctor. And I'm working in a hospital in Mosul. That's according to the information garnered from CBS News. Now, CBS News, in a rare fit of honesty here, admit that Abdelhamid agreed to tell a story, but we can't know for sure whether he was speaking freely. That's a quote, end quote. Because the prison that he's in has a bunch of ISIS leaders in it, a lot of ISIS fighters in it. Individuals, over 5,000 people are in this prison, and we don't know who's telling the truth and who's not. We don't know who was a fighter and who was not. That's according to CBS News and their investigation and their conversation with him. So the question comes up, gee, what is the real truth here? And we know a little bit more about this, and there's another article I would suggest that if you want to follow this, you can. And this is from the Star Tribune, where they mention in their article from September 18th that a St. Louis Park man who joined ISIS is believed found in Syrian prison. That's the title of the article. He's now 22. And they, again, recount his story that he decided to join ISIS because he went online, spoke to members of ISIS, he sought them out, and when he did, they then sent him material saying, hey, this is all a conspiracy. ISIS is great. We're wonderful people for fighting for Muslims, and we're not global terrorists. We don't kill people like that. And then he disappeared. And what we do know, and he called his family about 48 days after he had disappeared, said, oh, I'm alive. I'm training to be a doctor. Now, here's something that's important to know. When Abdelhamid was in school, he was training to be an engineer, not a doctor. He didn't go to law school. He wasn't training in pre-med. He wanted to be an engineer. So an engineer decided to go and become part of ISIS. He also had a minor in IT. So again, nothing to do with medical field, nothing to do with being a doctor. But he calls up and says, no, I'm working as a doctor. I'm going to be a doctor, and I'm working in a hospital in ISIS, in Mosul, and which is held by ISIS, and I'm going to be a doctor, even though I have no training in that. I've never shown any reason for anyone to believe that he wanted to be in the medical field. And now he's saying, hey, I didn't fight. I didn't use any of my IT knowledge. I didn't use any of my engineering knowledge to build bombs or to kill people. No, I was working in a hospital. Oh, and by the way, I lost my arm because of a U.S. airstrike. This is his story, which would bring up a lot of sympathy. Oh my God, how terrible. The U.S. bombed ISIS, and he got wounded in that process, and so we should take him back. I mean, that's the message that's being sent out by him. Now, my big question is, why should we believe any of that? We have an individual who voluntarily left the United States, who voluntarily sought out ISIS, agreed with their mantra, their global terrorist viewpoints, went there, and then said, hey, I'm going to be part of it. We have no reason to believe that he had anything to do with medicine, because he never had anything to do with medicine before. And after 4 years of being with ISIS, gets caught, along with ISIS fighters and ISIS leaders, is thrown in prison. And then when U.S. news accidentally comes to the same prison he's in, and they find him, he then says, oh, no, I want to come back home because I made a mistake, which is the same thing Hoda Muthana said. They made a mistake. I'm sorry that I joined a global terrorist organization looking to kill innocent people with bombs, killing moms and children and individuals, innocent non-combatants, and kill them for my religious belief, my fanatical religious belief. And that's okay. I'm sorry. That was a mistake. Just take me back home. I shouldn't be punished for this. And he goes on in the article, Mr. Abdelhamid says that, hey, I've been talking to the FBI, and I'm going to face 15 years in prison. And that's just terrible. How could they put me in prison for 15 years because I made a mistake? That's his words. And I want to find that because he's very, for someone who's regretting his mistake, he's very, very positive about ISIS. Let me tell you what he says here. He's quoted as saying, quote, they gave me a blank check to buy whatever I wanted, which he told CBS News. Oh, because he wanted to become a doctor, something he had never shown any inclination for before. But he says that when he spoke to the FBI, who investigated him and is currently reviewing him, they say, where is it? And I want to find the quote. Where is it? He mentions that he was a conspiracy theorist, and there he is. And Abdelhamid goes on to say that 15 years is a very long time for mistakes you made coming to Syria. Now, here's the thing that I said about Hoda Muthana when she made this argument. I'm going to say it about him as well. It's not a mistake. You made a very conscious, very active decision as an adult and said, hey, I'm going to leave America. I'm going to leave my country, and I'm going to travel overseas. I'm going to seek out and join a global terrorist organization. I will stay with that global terrorist organization as it kills innocents, mothers, children, other non-combatants with bombs, as well as actual fighting. And I'm going to kill these people. I'm going to support people who are killing these people. And I'm going to do that for years on end without contacting my family, the United States government, or anyone, military, anyone. And I'm going to do this until I get caught and thrown into a prison for the crimes that I have helped, at the very least, helped to have committed, the suicide bombings that I helped to have committed. And then I'm going to say, well, please take me back to America. so that I don't face any punishment. I want to avoid any punishment for the crimes that I have committed. And there is a crime here. He helped global terrorism. That is a fact. That isn't in question. He was supporting ISIS, just like Hoda Muthana supported ISIS, at the very least. They may have actively killed people. They may have actively tried to kill Americans. We're not exactly sure. And now they say, well, take us back home and we shouldn't be punished for actively trying to kill innocent individuals, for committing what would be in any other nation, if it were a nation, war crimes. Crimes against civilians that are abominable. And he doesn't want to have any punishment. And there is a growing movement that supports this, especially in his hometown of Minneapolis, which happens to be the same district, the Minneapolis 5th District, which happens to be the same place that we see Keith Ellison and Ilhan Omar represent. Keith Ellison was the former representative of the Minnesota 5th District, which is in Minneapolis. And Ilhan Omar now has that position, which is very curious. And it's also the district that happens to have, if not the largest, one of the largest numbers of Americans who have defected and joined ISIS to support global terrorism. From that community, there is the largest, I believe it's the largest number of Americans who have ever done that and have plotted in the United States. At least 8 individuals have been arrested and tried and convicted of trying to overthrow the United States government to support global terrorism and have been arrested and put in jail for such actions. But Hoda Muthana and Abdelhamid Madioum, these are individuals that are saying, well, no, forgive me. It was a mistake. Oops, I made a mistake. Really, that's what they're saying. Oops, I made a mistake. I don't know. When you get lost while driving around to find a movie theater or a restaurant, that's a mistake. When you drop a piece of cake on the floor, that's a mistake. Okay? You drop off, I don't know. You can have a lot of mistakes in life. But joining a international terrorist organization through your own will, you actively seek out and then join an international terrorist organization, and you're going to say that's a mistake? You mistakenly bought tickets to travel overseas, to travel into Turkey, to then cross the border illegally, to enter a nation that's in a civil war, to join the side of an international terrorist organization that seeks to kill innocent people with suicide bombs and active combat. You join that. These are all conscious decisions, one after the other. And in some cases, like with Hoda, you have actively rescinded your American citizenship by your own free will. And the only time that you have any sense or any communication that this wasn't a good thing or that you have any regret is after you have been caught, after you have been imprisoned for the crimes that you have committed. And at that moment you go, I am sorry. This is my act of contrition. It was a mistake. Please ignore the last 4 years of my life. Ignore the fact that I've helped to kill babies and children. And let me come back home and I'm a good guy. I'll just go back to life. I'll get a job at the 7-Eleven or something. Really? Are we supposed to say that? Does this make sense to anyone? I'm really livid about this. And it's not getting a lot of news because I know it would reflect poorly on Representative Ilhan Omar. It would reflect poorly on the AG Keith Ellison because Democrats don't want to talk about this. Just like they didn't want to talk about Keith Ellison's reported or accused abuse of his girlfriend. But they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about this. They don't want to talk about whether or not America should forgive people who have actively supported terrorism. And when I say actively, I mean they're overseas. They are actively helping people blow up babies, because that's what ISIS does and has done. Besides the active combat, they have actively gone out and blown up babies. And they're telling us, well, we should just forgive them. It was a mistake. They were kids. They were 18. Now they're 22, 23, 24. We're just going to forgive that because it's a mistake. It's like you being, you're young and you took pot, or you drove while drunk, or you quit your job. You made a mistake when you were young. We should just forgive that. Because what's the difference between, I don't know, speeding and killing babies? There's no difference. It's okay. We can forgive that. Oops, mistake. You only kill babies for 4 years of your life. You only help people kill babies for 4 years of your life. We should just ignore that. That's okay. Anyone could make that mistake. Really? Look, I don't know. Maybe it's me. But I don't believe that someone who has rescinded their American citizenship, who has gone out and actively sought out and then joined an international terrorist organization, I'm sorry, you don't get forgiveness of just and walking away without any repercussions for your actions. Should he go, if they accept him back into the United States, should he go to jail? Absolutely. Should it be for at least 15 years? Absolutely. That's what we've already convicted people for even attempting to do this, let alone actively supporting the death and murder of innocents. And I said this with Hoda Muthana, and I'll say this again with him. I don't think we should allow them back into the United States. They committed the crimes overseas. They joined an international terrorist organization, effectively and in some cases actively rescinding their American citizenship. You know what? You violated the law. You're going to get the punishment of the law. Serve your time. Serve the time in the prison. I don't trust them. And I don't trust them to come back into the United States. And what are they going to do? Because I don't believe that they have actually rescinded their views on ISIS. I believe that they're only trying to get out of the punishment. And I think that they're trying to find the easiest way to do so. And they're using the heartstrings and the ideology of progressives and democratic socialists who are going to say, well, America's just a horrible place, so we have to do this. It's wrong for us not to take them back because we'll take anyone. You can break any law and it's okay. You can break the immigration laws and just enter the United States. There's no such thing as borders. And if we can let an illegal alien from anywhere in the world, Venezuela as an example, if we're going to let them come in, we have to let in the ISIS fighters as well. Because, it's an open border. Let them all in. It doesn't matter what law you broke. Doesn't matter what crime you committed. Let them in. And I'm saying that because we do see that progressives and democratic socialists, and we've seen the Democratic candidates for the 2020 election, Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, Beto O'Rourke, the fake Hispanic. We've seen them all come out there and say, no, we want to help and we want to reward illegal aliens. And they're helping members of MS-13. We're seeing Democrats actively cross the border, take people who have committed a crime in the United States, bring them across illegally into the United States so that they can have citizenship or to have at least residency in the United States. Those are crimes. Those are people who have actively brought crimes. So they're okay with this idea. But are you? Are you okay? And I really want to pose this question, and I really want to hear people's answers. And I hope Democrats will be able to answer this for me. Do democratic socialists, do progressives, because I don't think the average Democrat believes this, but I want to hear, do the American people say that they want to absolve people who have gone out willfully, of their own volition, gone out and supported, if not actively committed, the murder of innocents, of babies, of children, of moms, of dads, brothers and sisters, individuals who are non-combatants and have willfully gone out there and supported the suicide bombing of these individuals and the planning, plotting, and active attacks against civilians around the world simply for the fact that they don't believe what those individuals believe. This is the most extreme form of what we see here in the United States. except here in the United States, if you don't believe what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez believes, they're just going to call you a racist. They're going to tell you that you're some kind of evil person, you're a Nazi, you're a white nationalist, even though you may be, like myself, a black Puerto Rican, but you're going to be labeled as a white nationalist. But no one's going to try and kill you. At least, this is what we see right now. But they're saying that there's no difference. Well, these guys, they had a belief too. And if you are racist against these, or sexist or whatever, religious bias against people because they're Muslims who, what's the problem? They're just Muslims. They just believe in Islam. Well, that's not the answer. Yeah, they believe in Islam. Fantastic. Good for them. It's that they went out and they actively supported the death of innocents. And there's my problem. And yeah, I think they should stay in Syria, in that prison, and they should serve their time, 15, 30 years life imprisonment, because they actively supported, if not actively committed, the murder of innocents. And their U.S. citizenship doesn't give them a pass. It doesn't buy them a get-out-of-jail-free card to come back to the United States. Nor do I trust that if they did come back to the United States, that they wouldn't try and recruit more people for this very same cause, because I don't think they honestly are upset or contrite or regretful for the decisions they made. They're just sorry they got caught. There's a big difference. But this is what I think about it. You may think something else. I want to hear what you think. Tell me, should Hoda Muthana, should Abdelhamid Madioum be brought back to the United States? Should we absolve them of their crimes of at least supporting, if not actively killing innocents? Is there no consequence? Is this just a mistake? What do you think? I want to hear your thoughts. You tell me. I hope everyone's going to have a great day otherwise, and I look forward to talking to you again very soon. Thanks, folks. Bye-bye.